All right, all right, all right. Welcome to the Midnight Society. I'm Patrick, also known as the Cat, and with us once again is our guest host, Miss Betty J. Gathers, and together, Wonder Twin Powers activate. Well, there you go. Activate. We are the Midnight Society. You know what's funny? You don't look anything like Al.
Who?
You look more like the Cheetah than you do Al.
Probably with the hair. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you're probably right.
Oh my gosh. Well, here we are again Sunday night. Hey Jaden, how are you? Jim, now it's dark. Thank you so much.
Oh,
And Cass already came by and left us some love. Thank you for coming by, one and all. This is the Midnight Society. We just got done doing the IFC show. Oh, I should show you though. Did you watch the IFC show? Oh, let me show you what we're. Let me show you what I watched.
I have no idea, y'all. You tell me. It's my dog.
That's right. So we did the ISC midnight show tonight, the Midnights, and so yeah, it was over on David's Horror's channel. I'm not sure if you're friends with David Horror or not. I gotta connect you guys. He does come inside their stream, so if not, I'll just send you his link to your Instagram. You should go ahead and subscribe to him.
Okay.
He has some amazing content, and he's at ISC Midnight. We were joined by our good friend Ben from Cadaver Club, and so we talked about the Wretched for the show.
Mm.
Oh man, Betty, this is so good.
What is it about?
It's a witch. It's this witch who comes over and she bewitches people and takes their kids. She causes the adults to forget
Oh no.
and takes the little kids to, for fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Um, but it's a really good movie. We had a
pencil.
really good discussion about it, and
That was the Richard, or the
yeah, The Wretched.
okay.
It's an ISC midnight release, so
Okay.
you should be able to see it. You should be able to watch it on Amazon Prime or
Okay.
AMC
I'll
Plus
look for it.
if you have Shutter.
Mm.
So yeah,
Oh,
so we watch. If you have Shutter, you could probably be able to watch it on there too.
I want to tell Jaden too. Jaden, if the reason you keep subscribing all the time, you need to look at a video for a while, and then it won't kick you off. So look at one of my videos for about 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and then subscribe, and then you won't have to do it all the time.
Yeah, I get that too.
Yeah, it keeps kicking them off. So
I was wondering about that. I was wondering if it was just a glitch, a YouTube glitch.
that's them bots. They be watching.
Yeah. And here is Mr. Bones is in the house.
I know. Hey,
And,
Bones, Mr. Bones.
that's right. Followed by our good friend Mighty Casey, Interweb Kaiju, master of all monsters. So yeah, so we're watching. We watched it. We watched The Wretched, and I didn't get to show this before we went off the air, and I wanted to do that. So next month, October 30th, the day before Halloween, we are going to be watching over on Ben's channel, Ben Cadaver Club's channel. We will be watching and discussing a new movie called Hunter x Hunter. So this movie is absolutely. I've heard it's just absolutely bonkers. It's a very dark film, which I love all things dark, right? So this thing's right up my alley. So we're gonna be watching this on October 30th on Ben's channel. So I can't wait for that. I will probably make a banner for that on Facebook. So come out and hang out with. Hey, Bud Files, how are you? Welcome,
I
welcome.
know. Mr.
So
Bones,
how was
where I
your
used it. Hey, Betty J.
how was your week this week?
Who, mine?
Yeah.
Busy. Every day just flew by. It was busy. I filmed. And I'm worried about the storm too, but look like it's going farther off into the ocean. But we'll know by Wednesday in my area. So everybody's kind of bracing up for that. And then I might want to try to put my Friday video, up and have it scheduled to go out before Wednesday, because I don't know what's going to happen. So usually our lights don't go off though, because we're by 4 schools. Well, near 4 schools. So usually our lights just flicker.
Yeah, actually, we actually had rain yesterday. Hey, outside the 9, welcome in. We actually had some rain last night. I wasn't expecting that, but it's very rare that we ever suffer any power. But my internet was down twice last night for about 20 minutes each time, and it wasn't even a thunderstorm. It was just regular rain.
Yeah.
And but we lost our internet for about 40 minutes altogether. Yeah, I did, we had a great week on 8 questions. I gotta say, you know what, you ever look at your chat that when you're doing your live streams
Oh,
and
yeah.
you just want to go out there and just give them a big ass hug.
Yeah.
Yeah, am I right? Am I right? I mean,
face to face, yeah, like the
yeah,
Bud Files, Mr. Bones, and
me
everybody
too.
out there. Yeah.
I'm so grateful for when they come out and support the show.
Yeah.
It just makes me, it's cool as hell.
Yeah.
I look over there and there's people there, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for, supporting us and, what we're doing, what we're trying to do here. The 8 questions with, or the midnight hour, or the Midnight Society as well. I know I'm speaking for Al when I say that we're extremely grateful. I'm really grateful when the people come out for the IFC show. It was really weird tonight. So David went on and he ran his intro. He's got a killer intro. So we're sitting there, and we're down 2 nights. We're two of them couldn't do it. But Mary was with us in the chat, and Mike had he couldn't make it. But we're sitting there, and David goes ahead and shows the trailer to the movie. Says, "I'll show you the trailer of the movie to the Wretched." And of course, YouTube being YouTube, instantly stopped the stream. Instantly stopped it because we're playing the trailer.
Oh.
I'm going like, you know what? I see people all the damn time playing trailers and doing their reactions. I'm reacting to a trailer. They do it all the damn time. And then David tries it. The one time he tries it that I've seen, all of a sudden he loses his damn live stream.
Yep.
So at the time, people were still coming in, but we had to restart the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
But when we got it back up and running, there's like 10 people there waiting for us. It was so cool. So I don't know about you, but I just think that it's really neat when the chat shows up.
Yeah. Yep. They come on. We try to keep up with them too, I tell you. Whenever I miss the Bud Files, like today, I'll go back and look and relook at their stuff. But I don't think I've ever been to Mr. Bones' channel. Ever.
Oh, Bones' channel's dope.
Ever. Mr. Bones.
Oh, you gotta go to Bones.
He's messing with me. I'm gonna go over to his channel. He has
really... Yeah, you need to go over there. Yeah.
I am. I'm writing them down too.
They're crazy about copyright. Yeah, they are. But you know what though? But I think it more has to do with the size of the channel. I mean, if some channel, some big channel did it. I mean, I can go all through YouTube and show you people showing movies and
more than that. It's one channel I love, And this girl is pushing the boundaries. I mean, today she naturally showed her behind, and
Uh,
they don't do anything to her.
yeah.
And she crosses that line.
But you show a trailer to a horror movie, and all of a sudden it's doom and gloom, right?
Mm.
Uh, hey, Kevin. Kevin says, "Yep, he's had a YouTube block videos before, before because I tried to react to a trailer, and then I did a search, and there were tons of other people reacting to the same exact trailer. Exactly, Kevin's got it. He's nailed it to the cross. That's exactly what happened.
Her channel's
I
big.
truly don't understand that.
Her
Uh,
channel's really
yeah,
big.
that's exactly what happened. She's scared of the boneyard. Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second, Betty. So I was up late. My insomnia was really wicked this week. I don't know why, but it was really wicked. So there I was at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm tossing and turning, tossing and turning. So I do a Betty, and I get out to see what's going on YouTube.
Computer.
We call getting up at 3 a.m. to check your YouTube. We call that a Betty. So I do a Betty, and I go ahead and check my YouTube, because I'm always seeing you up at 3 a.m. So
The
there's
cat.
Bones.
I'm gonna say the dog. The cat.
There's Bones right there, and he's got a new little thing going on late night. I'm not sure if it's gonna be a regular thing or not, but he called it the Boneyard, and it was hot. It was the chat was really flying, and good times. A lot of laughs. I was cracking up. I was really laughing.
Now is that a movie named Boneyard?
No, that's what he called his
Oh,
little live stream. He called his live
oh,
stream the Boneyard. So he had some people come. He had Cal on, and I think he had Echo on.
uh-huh.
It was just a lot of fun. I was more Caspering though,
Mhm.
because I was trying to get to sleep. I was trying to get some sleep. And hey, Max, how are you, sir? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Yeah. I didn't lurk you. I Caspered. It's a difference. Lurking is different from Caspering. Yeah, but I was asleep. I was trying to get some sleep. I didn't sleep at all, hardly at all, Friday night to Saturday. I think I got like 2 hours sleep the whole day. Um, last week, Betty, we covered John Wick 1, and people really seemed to like it. We got a really nice response from that. We had over 250 views, which is
Good.
which is pretty big for us.
Mhm.
I was really
Good.
happy to see that. I'm like, hell, all right, all right. It looks like we're doing something right.
Yeah.
Um, so we're back tonight with John Wick 2. So this is actually John Wick Chapter 2. They call them chapters.
Chapter. Yeah.
So this is a follow up to the first movie. Um, Man, that first movie was so cool. I just loved the first movie. Uh,
Why
uh,
did you think you loved it?
well, I really liked the idea of that because it had a lot of heart to it.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, he was, you could see everything that was happening to him. You could see it happening to him. Going through grief, loss, vengeance. Um, he wanted justice. He was really pissed off the fact that he was dragged back to a life that he didn't want to go back to. It would have been, would have been really interesting. It would have been really interesting is that when we saw him in the first movie, he did seem like he was at a loss. He was like in the eye of a
Mhm.
hurricane, and he didn't know what to do, where to go, how to do it. I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, what if he had actually found a career outside of his profession? Like, what if he was a teacher or an accountant? Like he had a life, and because in the first movie he was sort of aimless.
Mhm.
He wasn't really anchored. And
Mhm.
so when this happened to him in the first movie, it really didn't. There was no conflict at all about him going back. There wasn't any like, there wasn't any like, wow, if I go back, I'm giving this up, giving this up, giving this up. There was no risk inherent to it. He got screwed over. He got left. Got beaten up. His dog killed. His car stolen. And he got up and he just he went to work.
Mhm.
And yes, the fourth one will have Donnie Yen in it, and I do believe the fourth one will have Scott Adkins as well. So they are definitely upping up the firepower. So I definitely think that I think if they would have gave him just a little bit more conflict, like let's say he worked like I said, like an accountant or a teacher or whatnot, and then he had to he had ties because he's forming ties with his new life, you know. And the thing about it is, it's like I think if there had been like some pain and cutting that life apart, along with what happened to his wife, I don't know. I just think it would have made it worth. It would have made it. It would have come across as more poignant. Like wow, they really screwed him because he didn't want to go back to that life at all. He didn't want to go back to his old life. But as we meet him, he's not really doing anything anyway. So what did he do when Helen was alive?
He
I
just
mean,
had a whole lot of money still.
mhm.
He had a beautiful house. Then he got the sixth wife. Then, of course, he's got to help take care of her. So he really didn't have to work. He got used to the good life.
Yeah, I just and I think that removed the element of it removed the element of not wanting to go back, not being forced back, because he just didn't have anything there. It was easier. It was easy for him to okay, this happened to me. It was almost like an excuse or triggered. He was triggered. He I mean, he like let's put it this way. After that happened to him, he got up and immediately went back to his old life.
Mm-hmm.
What if he had been working at a regular job and had a regular job and responsibilities and what have you? Would that have been that easy for him to get up and go back there and do what he needed to do?
I
Would
don't think he would ever did a regular job.
yeah, it would have been interesting because after a while you do have to work at some point. You have to do something, whether it be volunteer or something. You have to do something to keep your mind busy. Um, so and the first movie did a really good job of portraying him like he didn't he was angry.
Mm-hmm.
He was angry at the fact that and he was more angry at the fact that he got pulled back into it than he actually was that he did go to it. He definitely didn't want to go back.
But when I'm thinking back, he knew he was going to go back one day. Why did he bury all them guns in the house underneath the foundation? Why
Uh,
didn't he just get rid of them? Why he didn't throw them in the lake and the ocean?
that's a really good question. It really is a really good question. It's like, but I think if you're in that kind of line of work, I think you always have that. He did
Back
have that
to
one.
Iran.
It was definitely a thread. It's just a very thin thread.
And he knew it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't really think we saw the real John Wick in the first one. I really
No,
don't.
we no, yeah, we saw John the first movie. It's hard to imagine seeing this, but in the first movie, he did show a lot of compassion toward Vigio, and I mentioned this last week, and I still see it is if Vigio would have had two sons, I do believe Vigio would have gave John his.
Yeah.
I do. I think he would have said, you know what, I'd rather lose everything. I'm just going to lose this. You
Yeah, he
know,
could have easily gave that one up.
I might be, that might have been, you're saying about giving up a human son. But I do think that because the father knew, because he saw his whole reaction. His whole reaction wasn't one of bragado. He wasn't sitting there telling John Wick, "Well, fuck you, come get me." He was like, we like he wanted to do he wanted to do with it. He wanted to be civilized about it.
Mhm.
You know, um,
Mhm.
and of course, he did screw up though. His reaction, he screwed up by sending them in to attack John. But I understand why he did that too, is because he thought that John would be in a weakened position,
Yeah.
mentally and physically. So he thought that he could sneak attack John, get him out of the way, and that for that sudden surprise. That's why he sent those men over there. Would he have sent those men over there in a week's time? No, I don't think so. Because he knew what would happen to him. I think he used the element of surprise on John. And so John's working his way through Vigil's crime circle, and we see the rust is coming off. I mean, you see him, he's sort of slow in the first movie compared to the second movie. I mean, as far as that goes, I mean, he moves a lot faster the second movie. He's more sure on his feet. Um, so the rust that he had, taking care of his wife, living alone and whatnot, and it's symbolized too at the end of the first movie by the dog. The dog
Yes.
symbolizes,
Little puppy.
the
See,
beagle's John Wick married. The pit bull's John Wick
I
unleashed.
know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Um,
that's exactly what it is.
so um, so John Wick 2 opens up um, with John on a mission. He's still on a mission. Um, he wants something. Um, so the movie opens up, and we see John is chasing down a motorcycle. He's driving the second car, the Buick
Mhm.
that Aurelio gave him in the first movie after he lost his Mustang.
Mhm.
So he is out there at nighttime. He is chasing down a guy on a motorcycle,
Mhm.
and it is a Fast and Furious chase. And it always kills me in these chases. Um, let's see, Echo saying, "Thanks. I am watching the review, but my dog on Fallout is missing, and I got 14 hours of gameplay, and don't want to restart to get him back. So I'm half here. Okay, good luck with that. Uh, Go rescue your dog. Um, so what cracks me up about these chases, especially motorcycle and cars versus car chases, is that here they are, they're in New York City, they're racing along, and the motorcycle has all the advantages. Has all the advantages,
Mhm.
and especially in the middle of a city like New York, um, it can go places that a car can't.
Yeah.
And yet it always amazes me that they always expect the motorcycle driver to go down straight this way.
Yeah.
And then if the car gets separated, like if the guy turns the corner too sharp and the other car drives past it, it'll keep going to make another right hand turn, and then they'll meet together. It's like, why does that always happen? You would think an experienced operator,
Yeah.
once John Wick's car once he goes overshoots him, that he would turn his ass around back on a dime and go back the other way, because he can and the car
Yeah.
cannot.
I always say that.
And it's like he could. There's so many different ways that he could escape a car. It's a motorcycle has all the advantages in a closed city chase.
Mhm.
But of course, this being John Wick, the motorcycle obeys the rules of the road, and he runs on the side to the side of John Wick's car and knocks his ass out. And so John gets up, and he walks over there, and we're thinking, well, is he going to shoot this guy? And he doesn't. He doesn't shoot him. Was that your dog?
Hmm?
Was that your dog barking?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He wants to input some of his own John Wick
He's
wisdom.
just mad back there.
Um, so he instead what he does is he reaches in and he pulls out a coin, a mark, like a round coin, or a card. He picks out a card, and he leaves the guy there in the middle of the street. Um, and
Yeah.
which I thought that was pretty, pretty nice guy. At least he didn't put one in his head, right? He gets back in his car and he drives over to a destination. And while he's doing this, he's getting geared up, and we meet a new player. We see the camera comes inside a room, and we see the name of Taraboff. Well, it's Vigio's brother.
Yeah.
It's Vigio's brother, and we see his crew is putting away. They're breaking down this whole operation. They're putting money away. They're getting coins. They're shutting down the whole operation because they know that John Wick is coming. And his lieutenant comes in there and says, why are we running? And and of course, Vigio's brother is sitting there saying, that's because the John Wick is coming. And he has this car. So Abraham is his name, and Abraham's going like he has this car. And your dog must have liked this movie.
He's being mean tonight. He gets like that.
He gets feisty. Sometimes the cheetah does that too. Not too many times though. Otherwise, I'd be in the ER a lot more. So explain to me again, sir, how you got this big ass bite on your leg. Well, you wouldn't believe me. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. So Abraham is telling his lieutenant about how here comes John. And the lieutenant's like, well, why don't we just take him out? And the guys was looking at him going like, did you not see the last movie and saw what happened to my brother's men? So John's making his way up, and on the uncles, the brothers, he's hearing all the gunfire and the gunplay, and they're trying to stop John. And then John finds his car, and it's wrapped up in a sheet, and he takes it off a covering. He goes ahead and he jumps in there, and he wants to leave. That's all he wants to do. He wants to leave. He doesn't want to do anything else but leave. But of course, Abraham's men want to try to stop him. So we have this tremendous chase within a small little yard. All these cab drivers are flying around there. They're slamming into John's car, knocking the shit out of it. John's knocking into their car. The once beautiful car is just, it's trash. Oh shit. I did not expect that. I thought he was going to get his car. And then I thought it was gonna be a chase, but I thought it was gonna be he was gonna get out and they're gonna chase him, and then he was gonna cause all of them to crash and then get out of there with his car. I'm just thinking, well, if you knew that was gonna happen, why would you even go after the car? Why not especially for what happens afterwards? It's like, well, if you would have reversed that, instead of taking your car and having it all beat to shit.
I know. I'm like,
and then you go up to Abraham's office and offer him a peace offering. I'm just thinking, well, I think if you would have did that before you got your car, if you would have got your way up there and had the peace offering there, like, hey, I'm here for a peace offering. Let me get my car and go home. It's sort of ass backwards.
But I wonder why the peace offering though.
Because John really didn't have. I mean, John didn't really. He killed Vigio.
Yeah.
But you don't really get the feeling that he really wanted to. In fact, when he left Vigio, we're not even sure that he's dead. And that's actually a common theme. We're not exactly sure when he put that knife in Vigio. We're not sure because it wasn't like he gave up the ghost. He did it, but you're not entirely sure that Vigio's dead.
Mhm.
Now, I thought that left it open. I thought by showing that he didn't really, we weren't really sure about if he was dead or not.
Mhm.
I thought they did that sort of open up the door for a sequel. If there was a sequel going to be played, Vigio would be able to come back because
Mhm.
he was quite dead. We didn't see him die. We
Mhm.
saw him get messed up. We saw him get stabbed. Um, uh, uh, oh, yeah, yeah. Kevin's mentioning that too. Um, Kevin saying, "Yeah, I don't understand why they tried to they tried to stop him. Just let him have his car. It's not the worth of 50 taxis." Yeah, I again, yeah. Not only the taxis, but the men driving it. Why would you put your ass on the line for that? Especially after what he just got done doing to the entire other half of to
I
Abraham.
know.
It's
I know.
like to me, it's like, yo, he just got done wiping out that whole organization, and now you want me to go out there and try to stop him with a taxi cab?
Mhm.
Sitting there going, like, I ain't getting paid enough for this. Um, let's see, so that's, yeah, you're right, Kevin. Absolutely.
Yeah, because
So
I didn't understand that either. I'm like, you go in there and you just tear your car up. You
yeah, yeah, it was just like you could have did that without doing the car. You could have went up there, put those men to sleep. And he didn't kill everybody. He killed a couple of people, but he
Mhm.
didn't kill everybody. And the car scene itself, I mean, it was so violent, and the car got banged up. And you know what? I'm sorry, I like John Wick, but if you're getting your ass knocked around like that by different cars, like they showed him get hit by 5 or 6 cars at full speed, he's not going to be much of a mood to do anything. He's going to be, you got whiplash, you got concussion. I mean, he didn't, the car didn't have an airbag. So I'm sure he probably would have, his chest would have been mirroring the steering wheel. And this is the first sign that this movie was not going to be, this is the first misstep for me. The first misstep of the movie was that first opening chase scene,
Mhm.
not the peace offering. I thought the peace offering felt very genuine and very in place.
Mhm.
But having to do it ass backwards, that just didn't seem to be John Wick from the
Yeah.
first. You know, he's an assassin. That's what he is. He stays alive by not being noticed, by being stealthy and being quiet.
I know.
To me, it was just like that's what he did. That's how he should have approached it.
Mhm.
But
And
they
maybe
had
he's losing focus. Maybe he's not as focused as he was.
mm, well, I don't think he necessarily. I mean, if he wanted to make noise, if he wanted to catch Abraham's attention, he could have did that easily by just going and torching a few cars.
Yeah.
He could have did that. If he wanted to put a calling card out there and saying, "Look, yo, I'm here," he could have did it that way as well. But you saw how he approached the car. He killed or incapacitated a couple of guys. Like, did I say? I almost said constipation, didn't I? So he did that real quietly. He killed 2 men. He put 2 men to sleep, and then he walked to his car. And he was really quiet when he took off the covering, and then he got inside the car. And when he did that, he shut the door quietly.
Mhm.
So he wasn't looking. He wasn't looking for attention. He was looking just to get out. And to me, it's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, listen, you got there. It's not that far up there to Abraham.
Now I'm gonna tell you the one part I like though in the chase when he's in his car and the motorcycle's coming and he opened the door and it goes.
Yeah, that was cool.
I like that part. I know. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was cool. That was, yeah.
Uh,
And it knocked his door off.
and not his door. I
Um,
said, there go the door.
uh, so yeah, I mean, and he got banged up too. A lot of there's another common theme too is a lot of guys get hit by cars. You know, the first movie, it's how they captured him. They hit him with the car. I don't know what it is, but it's like if you get hit by a car to where your ass is leaving your feet, both your feet, you're not going to get up and do the hocus pocus. Your ass is going to be on the ground for a minute or two. You're not going to be getting up going, yeah. I mean, if someone hits you with a car and you're leaving and your sneakers are still sitting there, you got served. So anyway, but they go inside Abraham's office. John pours a couple of shots of vodka. They talk for a minute. They offer a peace offering. Abraham says peace, and so John Wick says, he leaves him alive, and supposedly on good terms. Hey, John, how are you? Glad you're here. And here's another thing too. You didn't hear Abraham say one word about his brother being dead.
He did say, what I remember, he said that he killed my brother, and I heard him say that. He killed my brother.
Did he say that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
I have to go back and rewatch that.
Yeah, it's at the
because I was thinking about that.
He killed my brother, and then he talked about his
myself, nephew. Yeah, I know about the nephew, but I have to go because to me it's like I don't remember him saying that. Even when the lieutenant was there.
I could be wrong. Anybody else knows out there? But I'm pretty sure he said it at the beginning.
Glad you're here, John.
He killed my brother, and then he talked about the nephew.
I'll have to go back and hear it. Because if he did, then that would be I guess that would mean that he's dead. But I didn't quite have to go back and re-listen because I didn't hear it. And his reaction was so calm.
Yeah. Well, he was gone. I guess he said he's gonna kill me. I'll just sit here. But I can't see a human being doing that. Not enough. You're gonna fight for your life. Yeah. You're gonna leave. He had plenty enough time.
You're gonna try.
Yeah.
But they had some sort of understanding. They made the peace drink, and then John goes down to his car, and his car is trashed. But yet it manages to start up. So John drives his car like at 20 miles an hour, and he gets it to the house. He opens up the house, he drives it in. It just basically just dies right there. And then we see our first recurring character from the first movie. Yeah, it was good seeing him. We see Aurelio. He is called Aurelio up, and Aurelio comes out with a really nice tow truck, and he walks up there and he sees John's car, and he's just like, and it's Aurelio's played by John Leguizamo. And he's looking at the car, and he's like, this car is fucked. It's like, that's all there is to it. Of course, John says, "Can you fix it?" There's Aurelio. He's sitting there. He's sitting there smoking, and he's sitting there looking at the car, and he's like, "Well." Then he lists off all these different things that happened to the car, and then he's just. Yeah, I think I could fix this car, by 2030,
Christmas 2030.
And that was a really lighthearted moment. And it's sort of, you're sort of thinking, all right, cool, there's Aurelio, okay, we're glad to see him. I wonder what part he's going to play in this movie. And that was it. That was the part.
They showed it one more time, though. Toward the end.
Right, toward the end. Yes, toward the end. But we see him there, and so it's established the fact that Aurelio's still in the franchise. He's still playing an important part in it, and glad to see him in it.
And he's the one that told John where the car was.
Let's see. Kevin mentions here. This is, I kind of feel like John Wick had to keep an arsenal of weapons hidden in his house, since apparently in his world, every single person is a highly trained assassin. Yes, we will talk about that.
On the street.
Yes, we will definitely talk about that because you're right. Um, so so now John now John goes home and and he's just relaxing. He doesn't you know he wants to go back and try to go back to his old life. And so we see him go back down to the basement and he reburies everything. He reburies it. He puts everything back the way it was. His outfit, his guns. He replenished. I don't know how he did that. He must have got that from Abraham, but he replenishes all his gold coins, and he basically puts everything back in the basement, and then he covers it back up in cement. So symbolically, it's just like, you know, now that he got his car back, that was the last thing he needed to do before he was going to go back to his old life. And so he buried all his guns and everything else, and that was going to be the end of it. But it's never that easy, is it? Never that easy. So now it's nighttime, and we get a knock on the door. Knock on the door. And John's like, well, I'm not really expecting anybody, so but he approached the door, like like a normal person. He didn't armor up or anything, but he approached. So he opens the door and he sees an old friend. He sees Santonio del Antonio. Santino de Antonio. And he is an Italian crime boss. He is an Italian crime boss. Hey, Wes, how are you, sir? Oh, it's all right, Nine. Thanks for coming out. Wes from I Am the Ice Lords in the House, the level. So now he's inside the now he sees San Antonio. He comes in and he's dressed to the nines, and immediately that he's part of John's old life. And you wonder, wow, okay, well, John just got done burying that again, and he didn't come out. He didn't come out of retirement to resume that old life. He came out of retirement to get his car back and revenge his dog, and what have you. And he's but Santonio says that once you stick your nose up, it's not going to be easy to go back, because once people see you're up and running again, they're gonna assume they're gonna assume you're back. So what we find out about San Antonio is that he is the man mainly responsible for John being able to escape Vigio's employment, because Vigio had given him an impossible assignment. Impossible, he said impossible, but John had managed to do it, and we find out that John had a lot of help. So now because of that, John was able to walk away and to retire and to enjoy his what time he had with Helen. But now that he's come out, and he made a lot of noise in the first movie, taking down a crime family. Here comes San Antonio. Here comes Santino. Santino comes over, and he wants a blood marker honored. And, he says, I need your help. I have and he puts out a different coin. It's a circular. It's a big coin, and it's a marker, and it's a blood marker. It's a blood oath, and that is like if you put your blood to it, you owe the man or the person you owe to, you owe them an unbreakable, it's unbreakable. Honor the marker. You have to. It's one of the two rules. Honor your markers and no fighting on the Continental.
Yep. So
there's two rules there, and now John is being Santino wants his favor returned. And John just wants to go back, and he says, he's basically saying that it's like, I don't, no, I don't want to do this. Get somebody else. He goes, you have to do this. You made this oath. Without me, you wouldn't be sitting in that
That's
without me.
right.
And so, and John's like, no, I don't want to do this. And so he pushed the coin back.
Mm-hmm.
Santino was a little annoyed, of course. And he just, he gets up there, and we know he knew something was going to happen when he made a point of saying, "You have a very nice house, John."
Mm-hmm. I say,
Right
here
then
you
and
go.
there, that his house is going to get fucked up. It's just
I
how it
didn't
is.
know it was gonna get that.
Yeah, neither did I. Um, everybody saying hi to everybody. So then, and then, what did you think about that? I mean, did you get that impression? Do you think that if John would have actually broken down and told him why he came out of retirement, would that have saved him? You think, or
Nah, not with those type of people. Mm-mm.
no?
Mm-mm.
I,
Mm-mm.
it's like he
Yeah,
would have
not
told the
those
guy.
even the woman that he was telling John he wanted, well, at that time John didn't know about that, but even if you think about the sister, when the guy came to her and she was just had that hatred, like I wanted the parents watch us kill the kids, they didn't carry it out like that. So they're evil. They're evil.
Yeah. Hi, Andre. How are you, sir?
Hey, Andre.
I caught the coverage of the Parker Joyce fight yesterday. Big heavyweight fight yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, it's just too bad that he wasn't able to tell that guy, listen, it was an aberration. It was just it was a,
He wouldn't have done.
it was just it was a hiccup. It's like, here's what happened.
It wouldn't have.
Though I do think Santino already would have known about it, and I'm a little bit surprised that he still pressed it. A little bit, because he's never pressed it before. He had actually honored John by not coming to him sooner,
Mm-hmm.
cashing in that marker.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he could have done that earlier, but he didn't. Well, that's because he was waiting for his dad to die. So, but now he goes outside. Santino goes outside at night, and of course he loads up a grenade launcher, and he proceeds to blow up John's house with John in it. John gets blown outside, and and the big fire happens, and yeah, so he's making John, he's basically, and the thing is, there's really nothing John can do about it there, because he owes them the marker. He can't just get up there and kill him, because he's honoring the mark, because he didn't honor the marker. But he does get up, and he him and the dog, and they're all beat up again, and he heads back down to New York and the Continental, and we see that, and of course the concierge is there. He's a cool character himself. Uh, he plays Lance Reddick plays Sharon. He's the concierge and Winston's right hand man at the Continental Hotel in New York.
That's who I want to talk about, because we have not talked about him, Sharon.
Sharon is a cool character.
But what does he do? I know he loves everybody like John, though, in that little arena. They really do. But what does he do?
He checks the people in.
I know, but he doing something else too. He not just a chicken.
Yeah, they really didn't establish. They
He's
really
probably an assassin too.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, you know what though? I think he's very refined. He's very refined. He's very elegant. He's very much like Winston. Winston doesn't get his hands dirty either. He's there to enforce the rules of the hotel, to ensure a sanctuary. and and yet he knows, and that he knows everything that Winston does, if
Oh
not
yeah.
if not a little bit more. You got that. You really, he is still a very mysterious character.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know if there more will be revealed in the next movie or not, um, but you hope so. You want to see more of him because he is a cool character, as is Winston.
Yeah.
Um, so he comes in there and he says, "Is the manager in the house?" And he says, "Yes." And
Always in.
yeah, he leaves the dog with him, and he goes, "What's the dog's name?" He says, "He has no name."
Dave.
And he says, "Okay, well, leave him here with me."
Mhm.
And so that's what he does. Hi, Michelle. How are you? All right, we're talking about John Wick 2, John Wick Chapter 2. So I like the relationship that he had with Sharon, because you don't really get the impression that everybody that walks inside the Continental is looked at with the same respect as John Wick is.
Mhm.
There's, I mean, they're all high level operators, but as we saw in the last movie, they don't all have the same honor. I mean, we saw
Yeah.
Miss Perkins.
Yeah.
She tried to kill him on property on the Continental
Yeah.
Ground. So um, the different honor, the different respect that they're treated the guests are as different. And I think Sharon is treating John with the utmost respect because he's earned that respect,
Mhm.
vice versa, and because he trusts him with his dog. So that those two men have a lot of respect for each other. If he actually he leaves him with Sharon rather than Winston.
Mhm.
So it says a lot about the gentleman's character.
Mhm.
So he goes inside and he talks to Winston, and then he goes and talks to us Santino. He finds out that Santino is at a art gallery, and so John walks on over there and sees it. Walks through the middle of the whole thing, and he sits down, and Santino explains to him what's up. He knows that John is furious, obviously, because he blew up his house. But in Santino's eyes, he was justified because John didn't honor his marker. But
Mhm.
John's there now. He's there now, and he's gonna say, what do you want?" And Santino knows that he thinks that he has the upper hand, but he knows that he can only go so far because he's thinking, you're thinking about how many guards I have, whether you can reach me or not, and he knows that if John wanted to, he could.
Mhm.
He's not going to press that button. You know, he's not. He may tease around it, but he's not going to press it. He's not going to say, "Kill me if you can," because John might die, but Santino will be in hell first. Uh, so he tells him what he wants, and I think it really surprised John. I think it did. I think that caught him by surprise because I don't think that John. I don't think John is that kind of assassin. I don't think, I think he has a certain moral code when it comes down to jobs. And I mean, he has nothing but distaste for what he's asked. He's asked to kill Santino's sister because her dad died, and the seat at the high table is going to go to his sister. And Santino wants that seat. So he's going to have John Wick give him the seat by killing his own sister. Now, John is not excited about that at all. He's definitely not happy about that at all. Uh, and he doesn't really want to do the job, but now he's being forced to. And Santino says, "Well, my sister is in Italy. You'll have to go to Italy to do the job."
Mhm.
Of course, Santino will stay there in New York, out of harm's way, and so yeah, so that's what he has to do. Um, while this is happening, when he walks with John, we see John meet. We do see John meet a Santino's main bodyguard, with a young lady named Eris, who's played by Ruby Rose, who was going to star in Batwoman, but she backed out after one season because it was too hard. Yeah, that's why she was going to star in Batwoman, and then they did the first season, but she came back and said it's too much work, so she didn't do it anymore. Okay. That's what the acting's supposed to do. So, but Ares is actually deaf, and find out that John has a new skill, and that John is actually he's also speaks sign language. So we see that John picks up we didn't know that's a skill John had before. Didn't really surprise me though. You know, him being a top level assassin, that he did know the sign language.
Yeah, I think she was surprised.
What did you think of Ares? What did you think of her as a bodyguard?
Ooh, well, she was looked a little tough.
She actually looked good. Ruby. That's the first time I've ever seen Ruby Rose. I've only known the name and what happened with the Batwoman series, but that's the first time I've ever seen her. She was actually really cute, I thought.
Yeah, she was cute. Yeah, she was cute. She looked like she could handle a couple of men.
Yeah. Yeah, she looked like she could handle business. I think within a certain body size. I mean, could she take on a 270 pounds? Could she take on The Rock? With some help, but with John Wick, you felt her and John Wick, and you could definitely see them, fighting, and her holding her own. And they speak to each other, and they don't really. You really get the sense that they don't really like each other too much.
Yeah.
So John has to fly to Italy. Now, this is a really cool part of the movie. I have to tell you, this part here was probably my favorite part. For the most part, he gets to Italy, and then he walks inside the Continental Hotel in Rome, and the manager, the guy who plays Winston, in the Winston role, is a man named Julius, who's played by Franco Nero. Franco Nero is an Italian actor. He did a ton of action movies. Actually, I do believe he passed away. I think he passed away a couple of years ago. I could be wrong about that, but let me see. Or is he still with us? I hope he's still with us, because he's cool as hell. According to this, he's still with us, and he's 80 years old. That's awesome. So he plays Julius, and he runs the Continental Hotel in Rome, and very smooth, very dashing, and he basically, John asks him, I'm going to need some help. I need to gear up and everything else. So we see John meet a tailor. We see John meet a planner. We also see John meet, they call it this let's see, how do you say the word with a wine taster? The sommelier. I think I'm saying that right. If I'm not, and that's a gentleman who knows, gentleman or lady who knows all about wine. But this sommelier is different, is that he doesn't know about wines, he knows about weapons. So John gets a suit. He gets two suits. The suits are specially made, tailored to him. They're bulletproof. I mean, from the whole suit is all tailor made, and it includes all this body armor in it. The gentleman, the planner, he knows all the plans. He knows all the architects from Rome, where the target is. So he shows John Wick how to get in, if he was going to get inside this building, how to get in. He gives him keys. The sommelier also takes him. He and John orders up weapons. So I mean, he tells him the very best of everything, and of course, as always, you see that John pays with a coin. That's always a gold coin. Everybody gets a gold coin. If you need a service, you have to give a gold coin. So that's what he does. And we see them making the suit. We see them. We see John planning out the how he's going to get inside the building. Or Santino's sister, who we find out her name is Gianna.
Mm-hmm.
Gianna Diatono. Diatono is her name. So we find out her name, and we also
back up for 1 minute. Remember, he went. I don't know if it was where he went in there like a vault, and he got all his clothes. Was those his old clothes from old past life? Must have been.
Yeah, that was when he got back to New York.
Oh, okay.
When he got back to New York.
Okay.
So now he's ready. Now he's dressed to the nines. He's loaded up with weapons. He goes down this hallway, and he's leaving little cache of weapons in case he has to get out, and that's how he's going to do it. He's going to go out. He's going to leave. So he has enough firepower. He has and he's loaded up himself. He's carrying enough weapons on his own body, to arm a squad. But he's got a automatic rifles. He's got a Mossberg shotgun. I mean, he's loaded for bear. But he leaves all these little caches in this underground walkway. And so he goes inside this huge old ancient building, and then we get a flashback to like the first movie. It's actually very much like the first movie. We see a huge ass music scene where there's a singer and there's a huge wall, a whole people dancing and having a great time. It's very much reminiscent of the Red Circle from the first movie. So so we see that we're going like it takes you back to the first movie. And in a way, it takes you back to the first movie. But whereas the Red Circle, John went through the front door and basically went through the front door, or even on the side door, still pretty open. But this time he's going underground. He's underground, coming into Gianna's her place of her operational base. And then in it we see Gianna walk in, and she's a beautiful lady. She's dressed all in white. She's got this white fur coat on, and she's walking with her security. That was the first time we see Common. Common has actually turned into a very good actor.
Mm-hmm.
He was known as he was a rapper, and then he became an actor. The first time I ever saw Common in a movie, he was in the movie called Wanted, which is another assassin movie that starred James McAvoy and Angelina Jolie. I'm sure everybody remembers Wanted. Morgan Freeman playing a rare bad guy role. And was also about a group of assassins. I wonder if he gets typecast. So he's Gianna's head of security, and so he follows her, and she goes inside this. She goes inside, and everybody's bumping, and everything's the music's going, and everybody's having a good time. And she walks through. Everybody sees her and pays respect. She's going to be she's going to be on the new member of the High Table, which we don't know anything about that yet. We don't know what the High Table is. We just know that there's 12 of them. That's all we know. So she walks inside there, and we find out that there's a gentleman there named Mr. Oconee who needs to talk to her. And so he's been waiting patiently. So as John is making his way into the building, Gianna is sitting there talking to Mr. Oconee and basically telling him that, hey, we're taking over your organization. And Mr. Oconee doesn't really like that. He says, well, why are you doing that? Because I can. And, it's just how it is. And of course, Mr. Akane is really upset, so he gets up and he leaves quietly. And then Gianna tells Cassian to go ahead and wait outside because she's going to freshen up her makeup. So it's a beautiful room full of candles. It's got a beautiful pool in there, like almost like a jacuzzi or a spa. It's just beautiful. The room is gorgeous. I'll say this about the set designers for John Wick. Whoever does the set design is top notch, definitely top notch. This film looks spectacular. This movie is the opposite. The other movie looked more blue collar. This is definitely rich in the elite. The room is. I mean, I think that room that Gianna had, I think it was bigger than my house. I mean, I'm just thinking, well, wow, I could put my whole damn house in this. It's huge.
Big room.
So of course, she's gonna go ahead and get ready, and so she starts putting up her makeup on and everything else. And she looks up and she's looking at the mirror, and she glances down, she goes back up, and then there's John behind her. Now, her and John know each other. Of course they did. I mean, if he was friends with or at least colleagues of Santino, of course he was going to know Gianna, and sure enough. And Gianna even says, last time I saw you, we were friends. And and John says, we still are, but he's there for business. And so he basically tells her what's going on. I'm here to kill you. She knows it. Your brother did this, and there's nothing she could do. I was waiting for her to press a button inside of her jacket. I was waiting for her to do something. Like, you have all this top-notch security. You don't have a little button you can press on your wrist or nothing. You're just like totally bare ass naked to this. That just surprised me. So they start talking, and then Gianna she undresses, and she.
That's when you can tell she's an older woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. No matter how thin you are.
Yeah, she's definitely a little older. She's definitely a little older, and but she's beautiful though.
Listen to him,
yeah, she's beautiful, and she walks to the water, and she's talking to John all the way through, and then we see her to pull out off her hair. Her hair has piled up, and she shakes her hair loose, and she has a knife in her hand, and she then
my eyes.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought she was gonna when she took off all her clothes. I thought she was gonna at least try to attempt to seduce him. Like you don't have to do that.
In the bed together though, because when she looked up at him, they might have slept years before.
Maybe. Here's my point. Here's my other question: if she's going to be in the high table, right? Okay, she's going to go to the high table. The high table members have power. They do have some power, and I mean, we see it a little bit. We'll talk about Santino because he tries to do something. He tries to do something, but he can't. He's not able to do it because he's not a member of the high table.
Mm-hmm.
But she is going to be. I don't think she was yet. I think she had to go through the formalities, whatnot. And that might have, because to me, it's like if she was a member of the high table, she could have canceled the marker. She could have said, "You don't need to honor that." I'm revoking that. But because she wasn't quite there yet, and I think that's what ended up dooming her was that she was almost like a princess in waiting, and so she was powerful, but she's not quite there yet. So but she definitely doesn't want to go out. She's gonna dictate how she goes out. She's not gonna go out, through John's hands. And so she commits suicide. She slices her wrist and she talks to John all the way through, and then she and I feel sorry. It's funny, I know that her character probably was not a good person. I did feel sorry for her. I did. I mean, because
Oh, you're so compassionate.
well, finding out that your own brother's doing this, and forcing John to do it too.
After she was nasty to that man.
All she did was just tell him that, hey,
yeah,
your territories are.
She said they didn't kill him the right way. She wanted them to watch their children die. That's what she said.
Well, I just still felt a little bit, I felt a little bit bad. And so, she slices her wrist and she fades, and John is compassionate enough to let her just, to go on her own terms. And of course, he has to shoot her to make it look like, he has something to do with it. Yeah. So she's dead already, but he still shoots her. Now, this is the part that gets me in this whole damn movie. Again, he makes the same. They repeat the same thing as they did in the beginning of the movie. So John finishes the job. Then he goes to extract himself out of it, and as he does, he walks through the middle of the damn room. Where the music's at, the nightclub's playing, and everything else. He walks out in the middle of the damn room. And I just don't understand that for the life of me. It's like he came through the underground, nobody saw him, he wasn't detected, no one knew he was in Gianna's room. All he had to do is reverse the steps. Nobody would have known he was a ghost. But he walks through on the upper floor where everybody's at, including all her bodyguards. Cassian, who's an elite fighter himself, he sees John. They recognize each other, and Cassian says, "Are you working?" And of course, John is saying there, "Yeah, I am." And then he says, "Was it a good night?" And of course, John goes, "Yes." So he knows that his mistress is dead. So I don't understand that. I was trying to wrap my head around it, because it's like, you're supposed to be quiet and stealthy. So why are you walking in front of everybody? Why aren't you going back out through the underground like he did? There was no explanation for it. It wasn't like he went back to go back there and there's like 10 guys in front of the door. It wasn't anything like that. It was he walked out through the front door. It was just like the first scene, like all he needed to do was take out a couple of guys here and there. He could have walked up to Abraham, made his peace offering, and then drive his car out without any problem. It was almost like we talked about this earlier in the IFC show about sloppy writing. This is sloppy writing, horribly sloppy writing. All it was just an excuse to have a fight scene. It made no sense. It doesn't play into John Wick's character at all. It's like they forgot his whole character, only because they want to have a fight scene.
Yeah.
And that's lazy. That's really lazy. And disappointing. It really was, because it's like, wow, really? So this is and then and this is where the movie lost me right here. For me anyway. They start fighting. John starts fighting. They're doing he's doing the same style of fighting that we saw in the first movie, almost like gun kata from Equilibrium. He's and the bad guys. Oh, it was like a fucking video game for me. It's like none of the bad guys at all. It's like they're almost like Russian draftees. Here, hold a gun, run forward, and get shot.
I know.
These guys are supposed to be like elite guards. They're supposed to be smart on their feet. And who does that? Who rushes up there and runs? Yeah.
And even the deaf girl. Oh, I don't know if that's a
Um,
scene or not. That's all
I
right.
don't. I think she was supposed to be the member of the high table, but I don't think she was out there yet.
Yeah. She was just getting what you call it? Coronation? Something she's
It
doing.
says she isn't the elder and she isn't immune from the pledge of fealty. So that must be something established in part three because there is a scene in the movie which we'll come to where Santino attempts something. I'll definitely bring it up. I'm going to keep that in mind, Kevin. So then they start brawling. They're brawling all over the place, and of course, this is going to lead, and then this is going to lead to, he's fighting all these guys. They're being killed left and right. There's none of the guys have show any skill. They're not just sitting there going like, instead of running up to him, they're not spreading out. They're not spreading out to give him, the more you have, the more targets you got, the more you got to worry about. No, they all rush up to when ones and twos. It's sort of like a kung fu movie. It reminds me of a kung fu movie where you see the hero get surrounded and only one guy attacks the hero. Instead of like having 20 guys surrounding and they just run at him and subdue him due to weight. These guys don't do that. They go at them at one or two, and they don't even go. They just charge head first. They don't look around the corners. They don't do anything.
Mm-mm.
It's just sloppy. It's sloppy. I mean, it's just sloppy. You don't take any. It just takes the whole credibility away of the film, because you got to think about it. She is the member of the high table, like Kevin mentioned, and these guys have been, they've been her bodyguards for years. They would know better just to run up on anybody. They would stand back, identify who their shooter is, and then take him out. And they wouldn't have to sit there and run up there. Listen, if you have a pistol in your hand, you don't need to get within 2 inches to shoot it. There he is. There he is. 20 yards off your six. Pump two right there. Tell your other buddies, spread out. He can't get us all, and then shoot it, because they're fast too. They're supposed to be fast. And so it was really frustrating to watch that fight. It's just the first one, it had the element of surprise. I get that. And Vigil's crew, they were sloppy. They were not that skilled as
Mhm.
Giannis. I would not think so. I would think Giannis was top notch. But of course, hey Anthony, how are you, sir? So they're fighting. Of course, he's fighting Common, and they have a good fight, but they toss each other around. And then John finally makes way back to his extraction point. He's going back out underground, where he should have went in the first place. And so he gets down there and he's fighting off all of Gianna's guards. He's running back toward the exit, and he's using up his cache of weapons and whatnot. And then he turns around the corner and we see Ares. And John knows that Santonio has broken this word, and he says, "Are we going to clean up loose ends?" And that's what the girl says, is yes, we're here to kill you. You killed her. Now we're going to kill you. And Santonio mentions, I gotta go. I gotta kill the guy who killed my sister. So he basically set him up.
Mhm.
Hey, there he is. What's going on, sir? Glad you're here. We're making our way through John Wick, chapter 2. So they fight out of the John fights out of the tunnel. He kills a lot of Santino's men, and including Ares. He fights past her, and he gets out, and he is beat to shit. Okay, the fight. He's already gone through a war already. He's been shot at. His suit's been taken. His suit's been taken a beating, but he still gets shot. Ares puts two in his side, point blank. Put two shots in the side, and without the armor. And so he's banged up. He's really messed up, and he's getting out. And he's trying to get out, and so as he's doing this, um, he escapes. He escapes. Um, what did you think of that whole cellar fight?
Uh, I don't know. It was just too long. It was too long. And I think Common was even too long. But you know what? In Common, when they was fighting and falling, I could tell it was stunt men. You go back and look at it. I could tell it
Yeah.
was stunt men doing it. In certain parts, you could tell it wasn't them.
Part of it for sure. All the fight scene, all the shooting scenes was Keanu Reeves. He did work on that. I mean, he worked on that.
But
They're
going down those stairs and stuff.
oh, there's definitely stunt man. And you know what? And the thing is though is that him and Cassian were rolling down the stairs and they're fighting tooth and nail like that. The thing is they're throwing each other around. After a while, they would have been just so banged up that they wouldn't be able to move. There would have been broken bones, there would have concussions. There's just it was just too much of a cartoon for me. It's like no one's showing any signs of being winded or wounded, or it looked like watching Dragon Ball Z. That's what it reminded me of. The fight scenes in John Wick 2 reminded me of Dragon Ball Z. I mean, somebody's ass would get knocked down, and then he gets up and going like, "Oh, I just got knocked down, but now I'm going to power up my Super Saiyan attack." Well, you just got knocked down through half the planet. It's just so,
And like I said, an assassin wouldn't go through all that. They go in and they come back out. When he killed her, like you say, backtrack and nobody wouldn't even known he was there. That's when they start losing you because you're like,
yeah.
this just don't make no sense.
No, because that he's you established that he's a smart character. He's a smart man. He's a cautious man. He's supposed to be a world elite assassin. The last thing he wants to do is to draw attention to himself. He's going to go in, he's going to go out, and you're not going to even know he's there. You're not even going to know he's there.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine him just walking around just shooting people in the open all the time? I mean, sooner or later, his face is going to be plastered all over the place. He wouldn't be able to fly from New York to Italy. I mean, Interpol would have had his ass spread all over the place. I mean, they don't think about that when they're doing sloppy riding. We'll just have him go to Italy. Okay, I can believe that. You could fly him in there with a private business plane or whatever. But maybe. But as far as him flying commercial or what have you, or walking in front of walking at an airport, you wouldn't be able to do that because his face would have been everywhere. The secret of the edge that John Wick has is that he's an assassin. He's quiet, but they made him like a bull in a china shop. Let's see.
But you know what, too, with Santino and that marker, that made me think less of John, because maybe he wasn't like they really, really thought he was. Because see, we was thinking he did it all by himself to get out. We didn't know somebody helped him.
Yeah.
So maybe he wasn't, it was a myth.
Right.
Because he didn't do it by himself.
No, he definitely had help. I mean, that's the reason why he got, he definitely had, he owed for it. He owed a marker for it. Gizmo saying the biggest problem with John Wick 2 and 3 is that it destroyed the universe. The world, the most important thing is to keep cool in the universe in the film. Yeah, it really did. It took down. It did. It really did. It really did. You're supposed to be quiet. You're supposed to be elegant. You're supposed to be, stealthy. You're not supposed to draw attention to yourself. That's the thing. And yeah, you're right. And we're gonna talk about that too. You're right. So, but after he gets off and he kills most of the henchmen from both sides. He's bleeding, and then him and Common meet up again. Cassian catches up with him, and they brawl. They brawl on a subway, on a train, and they end up crashing through a window. They end up crashing through a window, and as they're starting to square up, all of a sudden we hear a voice. It's Julius. They have fought their way back from Gianna's house to the Continental in Rome, and Julius is there saying, "Rule number one: there will be no fighting in the Continental." So John and Cassian are forced to stop fighting, and Julius says, "Maybe you guys could have a drink together." So here these two guys spent the last 20 minutes trying to kill each other, and they walk over to the bar, and they each remember each other's drink, and they don't. I'm trying to figure out if I don't. I think at one time they might have respected each other, but I think by the fact that Gianna was killed and she was a woman, I think John lost respect in Cassian's eyes. I think Cassian did not respect him after that. And while they're sitting there, and he's just they're both, John's sort of more calm there, but Cassian, I mean, he would have gone at a drop of a hat. They both have a drink, and John tells him that, I'm going to make sure, I'll make sure I do it quick on your behalf. I'll make it quick for you. As a professional courtesy. And John, he gets up and he says, "Okay," he appreciates that, and then they separate, and so they can't do any business on the grounds of the Continental. So John tries to explain what happened, why Gianna died. But Cassian's not, he doesn't care. All he knows is that his boss is dead. It happened on his watch, and it happened by someone he used to respect. So that's it. Of course, since John returns to New York City, Santino again is still playing the two-edged sword, and he takes a page from Vigio, and he writes a contract for John. He's putting out a hit on John. And it's open, and whereas Vigio put out a $2 million contract on John, this time Santino puts out a $7 million contract. Now, let's see. Kevin's saying it has a lot of the same, some of the same issues that James Bond movies do. Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Same. It's the same with Die Hard 3. The whole movie was perfect until they started to fall 400 feet on the concrete and survive. Yeah. Yeah. So now there's now this part is cool. I will have to say this part was cool, and it was really interesting too. And is that Santino puts out a $7 million hit on John, and he calls it in on the phone, and the way they do it is cool. It is cool. It makes sense. So they use real operators on landlines, no cell phones, no intercepting a signal, a cell tower signal. They use landlines, hard lines. So and they have real operators, and they look like they're all from the 50s. All the equipment is all in the 50s. It is cool as hell. It's so retro. So they're taking out whenever you take out a contract, you have to have a code name. You have to have like your serial number. You have to be the one to authorize it. And then it passes on, and then they write out the contract, and and the person who's targeted, and then they go to an old Apple computer, like an Apple II, not modern computers that could be hacked, but old Apple IIs that you would never think to look at, You never, and they type in all the information, and then once the order comes out, it gets sent up a chute, and then everybody gets a phone call. In fact, you hear all you hear is once the contract is open, all you hear is there's two things you think of when you think about this. Is one, you hear all these phones going off all at once. Everybody's getting these phone calls. Different people are they could be playing a violin. They could be having a hot dog. They could be in a bookstore. There's just, and two, there's a lot of fucking assassins in John Wick's world. I mean, there's a ton of people. A ton of people. I mean, everybody seemed like an assassin. It's like, oh wow, gee, don't these guys have jobs? So Santino offers the $7 million. It's supposed to be as a vengeance against John Wick killing Gianna, but he's just trying to erase John off the planet. So of course, once that happens, it's open market on John Wick, and assassins come out of the woodwork trying to get him. And they have a really cool scene where John does kill 3 men with a pencil.
I know.
He kills 3 men with a pencil. So that was sort of cool.
I don't know about the one in the ear. Mm-mm.
Yeah. He killed all 3. He killed 3 men with a pencil, and he put that one in the ear and smashed it in. So that was a real nice homage to the first movie. In case you're wondering if that was just an urban legend or not, well, it wasn't. They showed that John Wick can kill 3 men, 3 trained assassins with a damn pencil. So now they're fighting. Of course, John's just he's trying to make his way home, but he also meets up with Common again, with Cassian. So they meet on the subway, and this is we got to talk about this too. So they see each other at first before they get on the subway, and they're shooting at each other with silencers. Cassian's on the top, John's on the bottom. So he's on the bottom level, and Cassian's
he was.
Let's say John was on the bottom, Cassian's on the top, and they're walking and they're shooting at each other, not aiming at each other. They're just shooting each other. They have their guns covered and they're shooting, and they're silencers. And there's people walking.
Well, that's what I said. Nobody gets hit.
Yeah, nobody gets hit.
Now.
Nobody gets hit, but they're shooting at each other. They're shooting at each other. Nobody's getting hit. It's just, I'll be honest with you. I checked out. That was like the little click, the little click that you heard there. That was me. That was my brain checking out. And I just like, I was just, Gizmo says he thinks John Wick falls flat compared to one-man army movies from the 2000s. Better movies and Payback, Death Sentence, Rambo 4, Brawl, and Cell Block 99. Dude, you're not kidding. Payback was awesome. Payback was very much like John Wick 1. He just wanted his money back. And there's another movie too. Prime Cut with Lee Marvin. Point Blank with Lee Marvin. Yeah. So they're fighting in the subway, and then finally goes down to where John and Cassian are on the subway, and now they're brawling with just knives. That's all they got. They knives, and they have a big fight. And then at the end of it, John manages to he puts this knife in John and Cassian's heart, and he tells him, he says, "Listen, if you take the knife out, you'll die. You absolutely will die. It's in your aorta. If you take out this knife, you're gonna die. If you stay there and don't panic and don't stay calm, you'll have a fighting chance. You'll have a 50-50 chance. I don't know how that would work out, because I'm thinking, well, even if they got him on the table, how are they going to get that knife out of there without him bleeding? You know, so I'm not really sure how that was going to work out. I would have liked to see them take him to the hospital and try to figure that out. You know, I would have liked to seen that. You know, it's like, you know, whether you die, you could pull it out and die now, bleed out now, or you can go to the hospital. They could pull it out and you could bleed out there. I don't know. It's not like you can just pour down a pint of blood into somebody's arm. You know, they lose a pint, you can just pour a pint in there. It takes a long time to replace a pint of blood in you. But John's all fucked up. John's been beaten to shit. He's just beaten up, and he's got bullet wounds in him. He's got he's just pounded, and so he goes down in the basement. He goes up to this old, looks like a bum, and he flips him a coin. He gives him a coin. Says, you know, tell him it's John Wick. And so the street guy, he thinks about it for a second, and then he tells him lay down. And so he lays down, and then he covers him up like he looks like an old, like he's a hobo sleeping. And two more assassins walk up to him, and the hobo kills them both, and to protect John. And then John is taken down down under. And this is where we meet the Bowery King. Now, the Bowery King is a familiar face. And did I say this when I saw him? Yes, because I know everybody else did too. What do you think? What was the first thing you said? What was the first thing you said when you saw who it was? The Bowery King.
I know you're talking about, but I'm trying to think. What did I?
I'll tell you what I think. I said, oh shit, it's Morpheus. I'm just being honest with you. I said, oh shit, it's Morpheus. Let's see, there's even a great female revenge movie that hits way better than John Wick, and that is the French movie Revenge. Yes, I have that by Cora Fugat directed that. It's supposed to be quite good. I have that. I also have MFA too. Let's see. Just think Clint Eastwood in The Forgiven, or Charles Bronson in Death Wish 2, and Stallone in First Blood, or David McKnight in JD's Revenge. Glenn Turman in JD's Revenge. We'll settle this on the killing floor. I love JD's Revenge. That was a cool ass movie. That had Lou Gossett Jr. in it too. Hell yeah! My buddy Catfish gave me that. I got a copy of that. But I won't be doing that on here. Let's see. Not on the society on my channel. So now John's taken care of. His wounds are now. Remember, this is the guy that got shot twice, point blank in the side, and he's been beaten up. He's been stabbed. He's got all the bullets from the battle in Italy. He's just one big massive black and blue shot up guy. But good Lord, the next day he wakes up and he just gets up there, looks at his little wound like that, and pats it on there and says, "I'm good to go." And then he's I've seen the Avengers take worse beatings than John Wick. So he goes there and he tells the Bowery King. The Bowery King is we find out that John did the same thing that he did to Common as he did to the Bowery King. He gave him a choice. He cut him on the neck, and then he told the Bowery King, he says, you could either continue to put pressure on your neck and live, or you can shoot me in the back and you can die. And so of course the Bowery King, he saved his life. He's got a scar to prove it. And at first he's a little, you're not really sure about him because $7 million is a lot of money. He's right. It's a lot of money. and he's very sorely tempted to cash in on it. And but he doesn't. And John tells him that, listen, right now you enjoy a decent life. You can do, your whole organization is you're making money. You don't got your slice of the pie. You're doing good. But if Santino gets to the high table, he's going to take all of New York, including you and your operation. So, I mean, you could help me stop him, or you can stand by and watch him stop you. And the Bowery King says, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go with you. But he says, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and help you out. So he walks over there. He says, do you want to give me a gun, or do you want a war? And so the Bowery King says, well, I'll give you a shot at this. So he takes him to his own armory and gives John one gun with one magazine, 7 shells. Yeah. This is what I give you. See what you can do with this. That's all he gets. That's all he's got. And so John says, okay, that's all right. I'm going to do that. It says the 7 shells are for each shell represents $1 million at the contract. Mm-hmm. So then John goes ahead and he's going to go ahead and he's going to fight Santino. So he heads to Santino's place, and that and he directs John. The Bowery King directs John to Santino's art gallery, art museum. And so, because Santino is holding a gala, it's almost like reverse. It's like his sister was holding a coronation gala in Italy. Now Santino's doing the same thing in New York. And so John's breaking up both of their parties, and so they fight. They have another long ass fight. John's killing Santino's men. He runs out of shells. He turns around and he just grabs guns from their corpses. Every guy he shoots, he's grabbing their gun, and he's adding to his arsenal. And so, of course, the men are doing the same thing they did before. Like a video game. Here they come running. They're in a really hurry to die. Here, I'll get shot. I'll get shot. And that's what they do. They run out there and they get their ass shot. So the fight continues, and he doesn't have very many henchmen left. He's got Ares. Ares is still with him. He's got like 4. He's got 4 more, and he sends those 4 out there to get John. And then we have a little bit of homage. I will say this is a little bit of a homage to Enter the Dragon, which I actually did like a little bit. Oh yeah. Hey, I had to space that out, Jim. I told Now It's Dark. I said that I told him that Avenger line, because I said we were talking about the movie before the show, and I said I've seen Avengers take worse beatings than John Wick does, but it's true. I mean, I think if Thanos would have did the snap, John would have made it. John would have made it. Or he would have snapped back. So there's a scene where they're going through an all glass, all mirror, and like a hallway. It's all mirrors, and it reminded me of Enter the Dragon, where Bruce Lee's is fighting Han in the last fight. He goes inside the hall of mirrors, and they're fighting among that. Except that they're using weapons. They're using guns in John Wick, whereas in Bruce Lee, they were using their hands and a giant claw, and like a knife. So, but it's still a homage because of the setting. So he kills the last 4 henchmen, and now he's got Ares. And so John squares off against Ares, and they have a terrific fight. But John is just physically, he's just too big. It's really what it is. It wasn't because Ares was a bad fighter, a good fighter, but John's was just out. He had the same skill set, but he's 80 pounds heavier. So he's going to impose his will on her, and he does. And again, we're not really sure what happens to Ares. We're not sure because John says, "I'll see you. I'll see you. I'll see you later." And then she flips him off, but we're not sure if she dies or not. I just have a feeling like in the last John Wick, I have a feeling like his whole rogues gallery is all going to come out for the last fight. It's going to be all the villains that he's fought in the last movies. They're all going to come at him for the last time, which would be interesting. So, and of course, John and San Antonio, they're San Antonio, he escapes. He escapes and he runs to the Continental. So that's where he does. He runs to the Continental, and then right there, he tells Winston. He says that he wants to have John Wick's privileges revoked.
Mm-hmm.
He says, you revoke his privileges, and Winston says, you don't have the clout to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And not yet. I mean, you don't have, I'm the owner operator. You can't tell me to do that yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because he's the end all. It's because he hasn't been told by the high table to do it, by the elder. I'm guessing that. So he says, until then, you can stay here at the Continental just like anybody else and enjoy the privileges. And so that's what he does. He heads to the restaurant, and he's sitting there eating dinner, and John comes inside the Continental, and he is carrying his weapon. And of course, Sharon is really concerned about that, and Wiz really concerned about that. And he says, Jonathan, put down the gun, because he walks up to Santino, he walks up to him and he says, put down the gun, don't do anything foolish. And Santino, he thinks he's protected. Mm-hmm. And so what he's going to do, he's going to poke the bear.
Mm-hmm.
Poke the bear. It's like, instead of just shutting his mouth up or at least trying to negotiate, or call off the contract or do anything right, he decides that he's going to provoke John Wick, and he does. And John Wick puts a bullet right in his forehead, and there's no doubt that he's dead. He's dead as hell. Of course, now that's really, really bad because John Wick just killed somebody in the Continental. So that is bad. That's one of the two rules that you cannot break. So, unfortunately for John, Winston says, you fucked up,
Mm-hmm.
So, so the next day, he goes and Sharon, he goes home. He grabs his dog and he walks home, and he's in the his house is destroyed, but he's still in the house. And then Sharon comes and says, if you will, can you come with me the next day? So John and his dog jump in the car and they drive down and to talk to Winston, and they're meeting in a public place. They're meeting in a park. It's a full park. There's people everywhere. So there's no shenanigans. And Winston tells him that, unfortunately, you really made a really bad mistake. You shouldn't have did that. And he says, out of our friendship, they're going to put a massive contract on you. It's going to be international. And John mentions, well, how, I can't really quite remember how he phrased it, but when will this start? How come? He says, how come I'm not dead yet? And then Winston says, because I willed it so. And he raises his hand. Everybody in the park stops. Everybody. They're all assassins. Everybody that was in there in Winston were all assassins. They just think about a bunch of sharks circling around somebody in the ocean. That's exactly what it was. And so Winston, he gives John a courtesy. He tells him, I can't do anything for you, but this is what I can do. he gives him a marker. He gives him a marker. He says, "You hang on to that," and and you have 1 hour. You have an hour's head start before everybody starts coming for you. That's the only thing I can do. And then he lowers his hand, and everybody starts walking around. And so John starts walking away, and we see again the operators and the computer operators. They're doing John Wick. They're saying that, and Winston calls it in. Winston has to call it in. He has to call in the hit on his friend. He has to do it to preserve his own self. And let's see. Yes, yeah. John Wick 4 comes out in March.
Yeah.
March 23rd for sure. Hey, Kal-El. So it's just John's walking away. All of a sudden, the contract goes through, and all you start hearing is all these cell phones are going off, and John and his dog are walking. And the more the cell phones go off, the more John realizes exactly what he stepped into, and he starts running. And so he's running by the end of the movie. The movie ends with him running with his dog. We don't know where they're going to or how they're going to, but he's running. And that is how we left John Wick 2, Chapter 2. Like I said, I really wanted to like this movie, but I thought this was a very disappointing entry. I really did. I just felt like I was watching a video game. It was just compared to the first movie, this movie was just not good at all. I mean, what did you think, Betty? Did you like this movie better or the first one?
The first one. But I just think, even though this was I don't know what kind of movie this was, play. But I do think it showed the real John more than the other one. You didn't really get to see it. Hard in the first.
I don't know. Obviously, I have not watched the third John Wick yet.
Me either.
I really haven't. These are all first time watches for me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. All I know is that John does have his own code of honor, and and he does like certain people. He has respect for them. He's not totally ruthless. He's not just a cold-hearted killer that killed everybody in front of him. Even though it's his business, it's not like he wouldn't kill anybody, if he didn't have to. No, that's not true at all. That's his job. His job is they hire him to take care, to do a business, do a job, and he does. That's why he's who he is. Some peers he definitely, he liked more than others, like Marcus. Marcus, the one that trained him. He has some sort of affection for the Bowery King, those two, and Winston, Winston and Sharon. He definitely has, roots with those gentlemen. Of course, we didn't see Charlie and the cleanup crew this one.
I know.
I was bummed out.
Oh, we seen the police though. Jimmy.
Yeah, we saw Jimmy. Jimmy mentioned that,
and that was like, one word line. You back?
He goes, oh shit.
I know.
And then we see Aurelio at the very end of the movie. His cell phone rings up. He's saying that John Wick is basically excommunicated. You can't help him. You can't help him on any level. If you're caught helping him, you're going to be in trouble too. So that's what the excommunication means. You're out of the organization. You're out of the guild or whatever. If you get caught helping John on any level, you could suffer repercussions. So it's going to be very interesting to see what that marker that Winston gave to him. It's going to be very interesting to see who's going to help him by honoring that marker, because nobody by right, nobody has to. You can show that marker to somebody, but it's not going to mean anything because you're not part of the group anymore. You're not part of the circle. So that's going to be very interesting to me. Personally, this is just a guess. I think that marker, that's Winston's marker. I think Winston, that's a marker that someone gave Winston for a service done. and and Winston's going to have that person. He was going to cash in his marker.
What did he do with Santino? He got something from Santino because he
Yeah.
told Santino. So is that?
Well, he collected. Winston collected the blood oath. Once it was done, then he collected it, so it closed it out. But that was closed. I think the marker that Winston gave John, it was between Winston and another party.
Mm-hmm.
Now I do know this, so I can't play total ignorance about this. Now I do know that Halle Berry was in part 3, so maybe that's where we'll see that marker go to, is to Halle Berry. I'm excited to see how she plays in this role in John Wick. I remember when they cast, and I heard the casting, and I was like, hell yeah, that'll be cool. Yeah. It's been a while since we've seen Halle Berry kick ass.
Halle getting old.
See. Everybody's here. See, Echo saying maybe it's Keanu auditioning for that video game he went on to do, Cyberpunk 2077. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So yeah, that's John Wick 2. I really wanted to like it a lot. It didn't do that much world building like the first movie did. I think the first movie did a lot better job at world building. I mean, we saw glimpses. Like, we know now that the Continental is in branches. That's cool. That's good to see. We don't really learn more about the high table, though. We don't really learn anything about it that other than people want to aspire to be on it, but we don't know what it entails or who's on it. And we do know that there's that hopefully that will be explained in the next movie. I was hoping to get a little bit more explanation out of it this movie, or even we didn't get explanations about anything. Like how the Continental, how the organization worked. Where did it come from? How do the hotels become what they are? I mean, I was hoping for a little bit more information. Like, build it up a little bit. Get us going. Not just to have us. Okay, yeah, you can't find it. I want to know a little bit more. I want to know more about Winston, Julius. Hell, those are. I want to know more about those folks. Aurelio, Charlie. But we didn't really get that. We got a cameo by John Leguizamo, and basically cameos by Franco Nero and Ian McShane. So I thought Lawrence Fishburne, I thought he did a really nice job as Bowery King. He seemed to be having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Which is really good to see. Because I really like Lawrence Fishburne. He's definitely one of my favorite actors. I do hope that Cassian is able to come back. Though I don't see him coming back in part 3, maybe part 4, maybe he comes back in part 4. Maybe Ares, but I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Wes is asking what he's doing. Mark Dacascos is in the third one. Yeah. See. He was the best Crow since Brandon Lee, of course. Yeah, Mark Dacascos is terrific. I really like him. Thanks for no, not a problem for letting me know that, Kevin. Yeah, he's awesome. He did that movie with Jet Li and DMX. I can't remember the name of it. He also did Brotherhood of the Wolf, which was very, very good. Very good. He's also on Iron Chef America. That's how I know him. That's how I knew him first. I knew him from Iron Chef America. Yeah, that'd be cool. He's a good fighter too. So that's our look at John Wick 2. John Wick 3 will be next week, October 2nd. We will be joined by the Bat. The Bat will return next week for John Wick 3. Just for Alucard. We'll also be joined by our special guest Betty J. Gathers will be with us again.
Yep.
And a member of the Cinema Squad will be here with us. Anthony from Fever Dreamland Theater. He will be here with us I week as well to talk about John Wick 3. So I will be telling you this too. As far as the calendar goes for October here on the Midnight Society. So John Grandy will be with us on the 9th. We're going to be showcasing 5 movies that we think that people should watch that are underrated. Of course, I'll be bringing out 5 A24 films because I don't think you guys know about A24 enough. So I'll be bringing out 5 A24 films. And then on the 16th, we are going to be looking at Constantine. We're going to be taking a look at Constantine. As you know, Keanu Reeves was approached to do Constantine 2. They're going to come back to do it, but we're going to take a deep dive into Constantine on all levels, both the movies, the DC animation movies, Legends of Tomorrow, and Constantine the series. So we're going to go deep into Constantine and talk about the movie Constantine 2, where it might go, who would you like to see in it, that sort of thing. And we'll also be talking about the TV show, because the TV show has so much promise. Do you know who was in the TV show? Who they teased? Though it never really got they never got a chance to show it. Though I really would have liked to seen how they would have, because they never did. They teased it in Constantine, but they never teased it at all in the Arrowverse, which really surprised the shit out of me, quite honestly. I don't think they use this character because this character is I think he's just one of the. He's my favorite DC character. They teased the Spectre in Constantine the series. I would have loved to see what they would have did with that, but the show only got canceled after 13 episodes. But we're going to be talking about that series. We're going to talk about the DCU, Justice League Dark. Matt Ryan both starred in Constantine and he voiced him. And he also starred in Legends of Tomorrow as John Constantine. And we'll be talking about Constantine, the movie, the first movie. So it's going to be all things Constantine. And we'll have a panel for that. We're going to have a guest panel for that. So we hope that you come out and check that out. If you're a fan of Constantine, we hope that you'll show up for that. And then on the 23rd, the Bat will be back. That's right. The Bat's gone. He's back for the 2nd. Then he flies off again for the 9th and the 23rd, on the 9th and the 16th. Mm-hmm. We'll be back on the 23rd of October, and we'll be looking at Terrifier. That's right. By that time, Terrifier 2 will be out. So we'll be talking about Terrifier and most likely Terrifier 2. If Terrifier 2 is released on Netflix, then that'll be awesome. Then I can talk to you guys about it. The Spectre was in the big crossover. I have to look for that. Yeah, the Spectre is my favorite DC character. I really like him. All right, before we let you go, Betty, you want to tell us what's coming up on your channel?
Oh, this week? Well, tomorrow I got a premiere at 4:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Friday also. And then I have my live on Tuesday. So it's going to be a busy week if the storm don't come.
We'll be hoping for we'll be keeping monitor on your safety. We hope everybody in Florida, hope they're taking, hope they got enough supplies put away. It looks like it'll be a really
believe me, they have more than enough. They used to get too much and take it back to the store, and the stores won't do it no more. They would buy out water and everything and then want to take it back. The store said they're not taking it.
No, I don't know why you would take it back. You might as well just use it.
Because they don't drink water. That's
I know Canada got nailed 6 weeks to
Oh,
Sunday.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I never heard of Canada getting a.
Yeah, they got nailed big time.
Oh.
Uh, as far as the my channel, Have Cheetah Will View, we will be interviewing Rose Bianco on Tuesday the 27th. She plays Grandma Rosa in Cobra Kai. She plays Miguel's grandmother in Cobra Kai. I got to talk to her a little bit yesterday. She is a tremendously sweet and talented lady. I cannot wait to talk to her. She's had a great career. We're going to be talking to her about it. And if you have some Cobra Kai questions, you can come out there too and drop some Cobra Kai questions out. That'll be Tuesday on the 27th. Wednesday the 28th, I have a doubleheader. I'm going to across the pond on the 28th to be talking to Ellie O'Hara, the star of The Darkness Within. And then we'll be back here at 8 o'clock to talk to Screen Queen, Sarah Nicklin. And then on the 29th, the end of the month, we will be talking to Rebecca Silk. So we have a very busy week here. Hopefully by next week, by the end of Thursday, I'll have some more guests to announce. It's been hard as hell booking October. Hard as hell. Yeah, it's been hard as hell.
You got it done.
And before I let you guys all go, please go over to Gory B Movies channel. She is having her battle royal. She is back after 2 weeks. They're doing the Battle of Werewolves. Battle Werewolves tonight on Gory B Movie. The Battle Royale. Who is the biggest badass werewolf of all? So that is what's going on at Gory B Movies channel, and it should be starting about right now. I'll be going over there. Me and the Cheetah, we'll be going over there to hanging out. Cause after all, I still got to represent Old Dude Vampire. But next, that's what's happening over at Gory B's channel tonight. So if you head on over there, tell them the Cheetah sent you. Tell her the Cheetah sent you.
Cheetah
the Cheetah Raid. Yeah. Just type in Gory B Movie and she will be there. And then next week we will see you for our last John Wick. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys all coming out and supporting the show. We will see you at Gory B Movies. If not, I'll see you Tuesday. And for Rose Bianco, take care. Be safe. Hi, Katie. Be safe. And we will talk to you soon. Peace.
Peace, peace, peace.